CDG BizCast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, co-owner of Creativity Design Group, a digital marketing firm in Houston, Texas. In this episode, we are going to discuss the importance of utilizing lead magnets in your website to grow your business and what it takes to create a lead magnet that your audience simply cannot say no to. There's a huge difference between a basic lead magnet versus one that compels someone to take action. If engagement on your website is currently low, it may be because it is not offering something compelling enough to convince your audience to contact you or to purchase your products and services. Our special guest joining us today is Sarah Noel Block, owner of Tiny Marketing. Sarah has assisted several B2B service founders for over a decade by utilizing her own special marketing methods to help them build sustainable revenue growth. Welcome, Sarah. It's great to have you on BizCast today.
Thanks for having me.
So yes, please introduce yourself and Tiny Marketing. Tell us more about what Tiny Marketing does and your expertise.
Yes. So I have been in marketing since the dawn of time, pretty much. And I started off my career working as a one-person marketing department for a 7-company group. And as difficult as it did offer me a great opportunity to figure out a framework that would work when you don't have a lot of resources and you don't have a big team to be able to fill in all of those little pieces of the marketing engine that makes everything work. So it worked really, really well. We hit our all-time high revenue in a 60-year history using that framework. And now I use it to help solo consultants, fractionals, service providers build lean marketing engines that make it easy to market when you are just you doing your own thing.
That's the story for a lot of small business owners. They jump in, but they don't really know what it takes to market their business. And that's where you step in to help them, because a lot of solopreneurs, I was one myself 7 years ago, and I still am to this day when I started CDG, they don't really know what they need to do when it comes to getting their name out there. I always tell business owners this all the time. You may have a great skill set and you want to monetize by starting a business out of it, but you have to know what it takes to be in business, and marketing is a major part of that.
Exactly. I'm working with so many people in like the finance, the ops space, the HR space, and they're really amazing at what they do, but it's a whole other world when you have to wear every hat and you have to figure out how to market yourself. Even for marketers, I work with a lot of marketers. It's uncomfortable to market yourself. So you have to learn how to do it and create this repeatable system.
That's right. That's exactly right. In simplest terms, most solopreneurs and first-time business owners have what I call the octopus mentality, because they have to wear all these different hats and perform all these different tasks all at once. And unfortunately, many of us don't always have that ability to do so when we're starting out. You know, like an octopus, we have to have all these different arms, and each arm has to be involved in one completely different aspect of business that's independent from all the others. It does take a lot of strength and willpower to do that.
Exactly. And you're not going to have every skill set. Like when we're looking at owning a business, there are so many different things you need to be able to do. You need to be able to handle your finances. You need to be able to run operations and optimize your systems. You need to be able to market and sell. And when you were just doing your thing in corporate, it was a different thing. You got to be within your specialty, and now you can't. Now you have to go outside of that box.
That's very true. In your case, you were able to take what you learned while working for the corporate world and be able to fashion it into something great, something that you were able to take and make into your own business. That's how Tiny Marketing was started. So please tell us a little bit more about what unique methods of content marketing do you specialize in at Tiny Marketing?
Yeah. Oh, so many. So you want to talk specifically around content marketing?
Yes, please. Content marketing would be a great place to start, because I get asked about it all the time whenever I get a new client for web design.
Yeah. Let's talk high level. So content marketing basically means marketing using education. You are educating your prospects on the problems that they're going through, the challenges, and how to resolve them. So basically, I think about it as teaching. I am teaching. And with content marketing, I like to look at it within 2 tracks. So people who are brand new to content marketing and they're ready to grow their visibility and their authority within their niche. Track 1 is the easiest place to start. It's definitely where I started, even though I was doing content marketing for companies. When I had to do it for myself, this is where I started. And that's collaborative active lead generators. So partnering with someone else who shares the same audience as me, and we host something that's gated. So it might be a webinar or a panel or a roundtable or speaking in a community, something like that. But it allows me and everybody else who does it to borrow someone else's audience. So you grow a lot faster. You're getting in front of right fit eyes, and you're doubling your promotion because you're doing it with someone else by sharing that audience, and all of your content creation energy has gone into something that will generate leads because everything is gated when you're doing that kind of content. So that's where I recommend you start because it's quick to grow your list, your email list, and you're growing a lot faster because you're partnering with someone else who shares the same audience as you. And then track 2 is a signature series. I love signature series, but you have to be ready for it. You have to be comfortable in your content creation skin. And with a signature series, that would be a regularly occurring content piece. So it could look as little as an annual virtual conference. Could be that. It could be a monthly webinar series, or it could look something like this, like a weekly podcast or a YouTube show. The intention behind it is that you grow your know, like, and trust factor, and you own the stage. No one can say no to you when you own the stage. So it gives you a lot of biz dev opportunities, and it nurtures your prospects before you even have to talk to them. Before a sales call happens, people are already sold. So they go into it only asking logistics questions because they've already learned everything that they need to about you through your signature series.
Yes, very well said. Webinars and podcasts are extremely effective when it comes to establishing authority. And I talk to business owners all the time when they get their websites made that it's not just about trying to sell your services. I learned a long time ago that whenever you publish content, it should be 80% educational and 20% promotional. This helps ensure that your small business is not just about making money. I mean, of course, profit is what keeps you in business, but you have to show to your audience that it's all about educating them, showing them that you know what you're talking about, that you're not just trying to be salesy with them, that you're interested in educating your audience and teaching them more about your products and services through your mediums of content marketing, whether it be blog posting, podcasts, white papers. And in the end, it just adds a touch of legitimacy to your business as well. And that's important to do, especially if you're just starting out for the first time and nobody knows who you are. You're the stranger in town, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It helps a lot in building that rapport, especially they're seeing you on a regular basis and you're proving that you're trustworthy by showing up when you say you're going to show up. If you say you're doing a monthly webinar and you do that monthly webinar, that builds a solid relationship with people that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yes, that's right. It's all about delivering what you promise. That's important really in any type of content marketing, especially in podcasting. For CDG BizCast, we publish 2 episodes every month, and this episode is the first one of December 2024. We'll have another episode coming out later, which will most likely drop after Christmas. But yeah, we stick to a regular schedule, and we always deliver on time as promised. Our subscribers know that we publish 2 episodes a month, and they get 2 episodes a month.
Yeah, the podcast that I listen to on a regular basis, I knew when those episodes are dropped. I'm always waiting for them, and it becomes like a familiar part of your routine. But on top of that, since we're talking podcast specifics, there's just a psychological link that you have with your listeners when you are speaking in their ears. It's an intimate relationship that you build. I have seen that the longer I've had my podcast, which is called Tiny Marketing, the more often I have people coming to my sales calls with me and they're quoting me. They're talking about the things that I've talked about in my podcast. And they're like, I already know you. I just need to know, like, when can we kick off? So it makes selling a lot easier. And I want to talk a little bit about what you were saying with the 80-20. That is a solid rule with content marketing, 80% education, 20% promotion. Now, I like to play with that a little bit because typically when people hear that, they think that your content is standing alone as 80% education, and then there's 20% that's promoting. But I like to play with the idea that every single post should sell. Every single thing that you create should sell, but it should be 80% education, adding value, and 20% selling through like PS lines, super signatures, through ads in your podcast, things like that. Touching on the offers that you have when you're speaking in a webinar instead of pitching it, just a little nod to it.
Right. And I can explain a perfect example over how we do that here at CDG. And it's also an example of our main point of discussion for this episode today. So whenever I publish out a blog post, I always end each post saying, if you need assistance with any of the tips we shared, please contact us. And there's a link to contact us there. It's basically a very light lead magnet. I don't make it too salesy because I want people to be more focused on the content, but in a way I try to incorporate a lead magnet at the end of each post. And that's what I want to talk about mainly today, because a lot of our small business owners out there, mainly the first time business owners who just got started, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, they don't really know too much about marketing up front, so they're not going to know what a lead magnet is. Please explain to our audience the importance of lead magnets and what they are.
Yes. So when I was talking about those tracks, I mentioned an active lead generator. So an active lead generator is like one step up from a lead magnet, but we always want to grow our list, grow our leads. So a lead magnet happens right before an active lead generator, and it's more passive. It brings in cold leads and it's usually on demand. So we would want a good passive lead magnet to meet our clients where they're at about 3 to 4 steps before they'd be ready to work with us. So you need to think of the milestone that they would need to be at in order to work with you on your main offer, and take 3 to 4 steps backwards. What are the questions that they're going to have? What are the problems they're going to have? What do they need solved at that point? And then you need to provide that little micro win that they can accomplish within an hour or two within that lead magnet. So a good lead magnet could be a guide. It could be a quiz. It could be an on-demand masterclass, but it always needs to be on demand, always available, and appropriate. It needs to play well with your offer so that it's taking your clients to the next step, so they'd be ready to work with you.
Right. You pretty much answered my next question as well. I was also going to ask you about how should lead magnets be utilized regularly and what makes a lead magnet powerful, so great that customers can't say no to them. And you've already provided some great examples, but do you have a specific example of a lead magnet that you created for one of your own clients that brought them powerful results?
Well, I have one tomorrow that's going out that has brought in like 50 hot leads for it. And that is a masterclass that is just taking a piece of the framework that the journey that they take their clients through. I have another client where we created a quiz, and the quiz tells the prospect if they're ready for a certain solution. So for this, it was about like facility management. It was a solution around that. So they would take the quiz and see if they're ready, and then they can download the guide and skip to the industry that they are in so they can see what are the next steps they would need to take. That one was a very powerful one because it was active. You had to manipulate the content. And for anybody who knows like different learning styles, that's really heavy. Like being able to play with what you're learning and use it, it helps you absorb that information better. But let's talk about one thing that you mentioned was how to distribute, how to get that lead magnet out there. So lead magnets are innately passive, and that means that you can have them pretty much everywhere. So I have them advertised on my social media banners. So when you go to LinkedIn, you might see a little something about my lead magnet enticing someone to download it. You can have that across all of your social media channels. You can also have it as an ad within your podcast or your YouTube show. You can have it as a pop-up on your website. You can have it in your email signature. You can have it as a free gift when someone subscribes to your newsletter. There's tons of ways to use passive lead magnets to get even more people on your list, but that's how I do it.
That right there is an example of how great synergy actually is. Too many people underestimate the power of synergy. If you can cross-promote one lead magnet across different mediums, it's only going to help you in the end. And business owners who are starting out for the first time, as I mentioned, they're not too familiar with the method of digital marketing. They're probably not too familiar with how social media works. And right there, you just described a great example of something somebody could try. It could be a white paper, maybe registration for a webinar, webinar, anything along those lines. And what would you say? I mean, I know every client's needs are different. When it comes to client needs, they're not all cookie cutter, but what would you say is the most powerful type of lead magnet that works out the best for most of your clients? Which one seems to be the most popular?
Okay, so let's work backwards a little bit. So in Tiny Marketing Club, which is my main offer, I'm helping clients figure out exactly what their lead magnet should be. And they are always completely different depending on who their client is and where their clients are at, like 4 steps before working with them. But the one thing that I always say, okay, but add this. Actually, there's 2 things, but let's start with the first one. The first thing is add some sort of video element where your face is being seen and your personality shows through. So even if your passive lead magnet is a PDF guide, have a video that accompanies it that walks people through that guide, shows them how to use it, how they can bring it into their company. And the reason for that is because it helps sell you. When people hear your voice, they see your face, they kind of get a taste of your personality, it sells for you. It makes it a lot easier for someone to say, oh, I would work with that person. So that's one thing I always tell people to add to their lead magnets is some sort of video companion. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is the follow-up email sequence is so important. So when someone downloads your lead magnet, I want you to create a sequence of little micro teaching moments within your email sequence that dives a little bit deeper into different elements of that lead magnet. Because the thing about passive lead magnets is they bring in cold leads. And they bring in cold leads because there is no time sensitivity to them. They can get them in their inbox and forget that they exist. So your job is to make sure that they actually consume them because they're not going to sell for you if they don't consume them. So creating this email sequence with micro teaching moments that dives deeper into little points of that lead magnet helps a lot with that.
Yes, it keeps them engaged. It keeps them educated along the way. It's not just a one-time deal, basically, because they may download your PDF guide and watch your videos, but by sending out regular emails, it shows that you're still trying to help them out. You're trying to educate them or maybe give them a little bit more than the item being offered has to show. Maybe there's a little bit of bonus material.
Yeah, bonuses are great. So let me just walk through the offer ecosystem really quick. So all of these little phrases that I'm saying make sense. So the first is the passive lead magnet, and those bring in cold leads. And it's because it's passive and people might not consume it. And that's why that email sequence is so important because it will entice them to actually consume it and also constantly remind them, hey, you downloaded this here. Why don't you use it? The next step up is the active lead generator. And the active lead generator is time sensitive. It's usually some sort of live element or at least time constrained where you can only access it during a certain period. And that brings in hot leads because they're a lot more likely to consume it because they have a very limited time to be able to. So that can look like a live webinar or a week-long access to a private podcast, something like that. Next step up is a micro offer, and these are paid. So it could look like a paid workshop. It could look like a paid challenge. And these bring in hotter leads because they're a lot more likely to consume that content because they equate it with value now. They paid for this. They want to get their money's worth. So you get even hotter leads with those. Then the next step up brings you fire leads, and those are gateway offer leads that come in. And those are offers that are basically an entry point to your main offer, and you're creating the strategy and the discovery piece that people would need in order to work with you on that main offer. So that's the main offer ecosystem that I walk through. But yeah, so passive lead magnets are that first one.
The main offer ecosystem. That's a very interesting way of putting it into perspective. In fact, now I'm starting to see why they often send out follow-up emails after downloading or subscribing or obtaining a piece of content, we would normally exchange our email to get. I mean, I've subscribed to several newsletters in the past, or I've had to give my email to download an ebook that I found interesting, found educational and useful. And a lot of times they will send out follow-up emails that usually contain additional tips. It's guidance. They want to see if they can help guide you to understand the material better that you signed up for. They usually add a little bit more depth to whatever it is that you're reading to help you understand it easier or to apply apply it to everyday life easier. And that's a great way of showing all of your subscribers that you actually do care, that you're not just throwing something out there and it just becomes passive, because now you're showing, okay, they've obtained the material, but are they really consuming it? Are they benefiting from it, right? Those are the questions that need to be answered when providing this type of material through a lead magnet.
Yeah, that really is the difference between like noob marketing and expert marketing is, when you're new to it, you only really care that you got that lead in the door, that you have a new subscriber to your email list. But when you've been doing it for a while, you realize if they don't consume this content, then it doesn't really matter. I have not taught them anything. I haven't made our relationship any more intimate. I haven't sold them at all.
So that raises a very important question. What do you recommend for folks out there who may have gone through this step to publish out some content that they hope their audience will find useful and eventually convert to a sale, but it's not truly effective? Like maybe they're putting out X number of copies because people have subscribed or signed up or whatnot, but it's still not truly converting to an actual sale. What do you recommend that they review, maybe to help them beef up the exclusive content they're trying to get out there? If it's not effective, what can they do to make it more effective? What can they review?
Yeah. So in your example, people are downloading it, but it's not converting to a sale. So the first thing that I would look at is the email sequence that follows. What's in there? What's the open rate? Are people consuming those emails? Because if they aren't, then it's probably a problem with your subject line. And if you just tweak that subject line and resend, you might be able to improve that. So first, analyze the email sequence that's going out after if you're getting downloads and they're not converting. Second, look at bonuses. So can you add some sort of bonus that would encourage a sales call? Like I like to offer flash consulting with some of my higher end lead magnets that would encourage someone to get on a phone call with me and explore that content a little bit further, because I have found that connection calls and more passive conversations turn into sales a lot quicker.
So yes, it is important to add personal interaction with these leads whenever you possibly can, because it does give them a little taste of who you are and what your personality like. Just simply downloading something or providing your email to get exclusive access to a podcast or a webinar or a similar piece of content is only half the battle. Once they actually get to know you and they get to talk to you, whether it's over a video chat or you meet in person and y'all shake hands and actually physically meet, that's the most important thing right there. They don't get that just from content marketing alone. That's where you add your personal touch, whether it's you set up calls or you just communicate through email. The important thing is that they get to know who they're talking to and what they're like. And that's why you suggested earlier that you should have a small video, an explainer video. You should have a small explainer video next to each magnet because it's an icebreaker, basically.
Yeah. It really just kind of warms you up to your audience, because downloading a PDF, reading it, even consuming it and applying it is just one level, but it's not intimate enough to prompt someone to say, I would want to work with that person. Now without the video element or even a podcast element, it could just be audio only. That would work too.
And I actually learned something very important from you today that I didn't even know that I should have been recommending to clients. And that's what you said about having a small video. And I'm not going to lie to you, I am a bit of a camera shy person. I don't like being on camera that much, but I have done webinars in the past on YouTube.
Yeah. And just to speak to your camera shyness, you're not alone in that. And a lot of people don't feel comfortable on camera. And if that is you and you're listening to this, you don't have to do video. You don't have to do anything that doesn't make you comfortable. It's your business and it can be whatever you want it to be. And if that were me, I would maybe do a voiceover and going through the document. So you could do the video still, but you could do it voiceover only, and you can walk someone through the document that way. Maybe you could have your headshot where you're feeling confident with that headshot in the little corner so people can see what you look like and they can hear your voice, but it doesn't have to be you on video. So there's a lot of ways to get around that if it's not something you're comfortable with.
That's right. Nobody should ever have to do anything that they don't feel feel comfortable doing. Back when I was in college, in the career development class I took, our professor always said, you're going to need to step out of your comfort zone to be successful. Now, that may be true, but that doesn't mean we can't moderate how far out of our comfort zone we'll go. There's always substitutions for the things that we don't feel comfortable doing, and you just explained it right there. You just gave a great example.
Yeah, the audience can feel when you're uncomfortable. So there's no benefit in doing something that feels innately out of your realm of comfort.
Exactly. Very well said. It's important to remember, do what you feel comfortable doing, be confident, and be ready to take on the world. And that's my final word on the matter. Now, I'm going to get ready to go ahead and close out the episode. Is there anything additional you would like to share with our listeners that we did not cover that you feel would be useful?
I talked through the offer ecosystem with you. And as we were going through this, I talked about a gateway offer. So if you're listening to this and you don't have a gateway offer, that's one thing that I would definitely add to your offer ecosystem, your offer arsenal. And so a gateway offer is an entry point for clients to come into your world. It usually costs between 10 and 25% of your main offer, and it very strategically pulls people into your main offer. So that's something that you want to play with. And I have a gateway offer challenge that I can give to your audience. I'll put in a promo code for you so they can access that and get a taste of what a gateway offer is and start building and selling it.
Great. I think many of our listeners will find that very beneficial. See, you're the expert when it comes to making sure that everything's compelling. And that's why I had you on the show today, because I want all the small business owners out there to know the difference between just simply being out there, getting out there, being ready to take on the world, being ready to get customers. And you have all sorts of methods. You've talked about some great examples. And I hope that they follow your advice down to the T, because in the end, they're going to see a major difference in results. If they're not seeing results now after working with you and simply following all of the tips and tricks you shared with us in today's episode, I think they're going to do well. But in order for them to truly do well, they need to go beyond what was featured in this episode. I encourage everyone out there to contact you. And Sarah, can you please tell us, where can people find you and how can they contact you?
Yes. So I spend my time online on LinkedIn. So you can find me there. I'm at Sarah Noel Block, and my website is Sarah Noel Block also. So easy peasy to find me. And you can work with me by joining the Tiny Marketing Club.
Awesome. I think the Tiny Marketing Club is something that every small business owner should check out, because they're going to learn a lot from you, simply said. There's too much to explain here, but if they work with you, they're going to see promising results. And I want everybody to come check out your website and get to know you, get to know what you have to offer. And I want them to be able to see the difference between what they're doing now and the potential great results that they'll have after working with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's my world. I absolutely love it. And the more people who enter the Tiny Marketing Club, the more convinced I am that I should have done it a long time ago.
Right. You certainly are doing the right thing, helping out all these business owners with your services. There's marketers everywhere. There are good marketers and there are great marketers. You're one of the great ones. And I want everybody out there to know that.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sarah, for joining me on BizCast. You shared a lot of great pro tips with everybody. I hope that all of our listeners had some great takeaway points that they can apply to their businesses. Go and check out Sarah at sarahnoelblock.com. Find her on LinkedIn and get ready to take on the world. There's small businesses out there and a big world to take on. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for joining us, and I wish you the best with Tiny Marketing. Keep doing what you're doing. I guarantee you the small business world is ready to be transformed by your stellar expertise.
Thank you.